In this video, we're going to check out the Legion of the Damned and how they originally were conceived.
Scifiwargamers.
Greetings, hobby fans. My name's Marcel, and it's my mission to help you explore the hobby. So, do you remember the Legion of the Damned? These were probably one of my favourite ever Space Marine units. Their iconography and their colour scheme looked absolutely fantastic. The black, the fire, the bones, the death, the putrid diseased wasting away. They sound a bit like Nurgle, don't they? Anyway, let's jump in.
In the year 963 of the current millennium, Space Marine chapter Firehawks was ordered into the Crowsworld subsector. Crowsworld and its adjacent planetary systems had fallen into anarchy following heavy raiding by Eldar pirates. The Firehawks' intervention would drive the Eldar from the human worlds, restoring Imperial rule and teaching the alien invaders an important lesson. The entire chapter fleet, including the chapter's mobile space fortress, made a successful warp jump from the Piraeus system, a mere 120 light-years from Crowsworld. The 5 ships, over 800 battle brothers, and 2,000 other personnel expected to reach Crowsworld within no more than 12 hours. They never arrived. 20 years after the event, the chapter was officially declared lost in the warp and presumed destroyed. The great bell of lost souls tolled 1,000 times, and it is said that the Emperor himself ordered a black candle to be lit in the Adeptus Chapel of Fallen Heroes. In 966 M41, a routine Imperial patrol passed through the Orc-held system of Jakor Tal. The squadron uncovered altogether unexpected scenes of devastation. The limited facilities available to the patrol could uncover no clue to the identity of the attacking forces. The incident was noted and passed into the everlasting record of the Administratum. A rash of similar incidents within the same and adjoining sectors soon began to arouse the interest of the Inquisition. Squadron commanders throughout these sectors were reinforced and ordered to double their routine patrols. The incidents continued apace, increasing rather than declining in frequency and destructiveness. Even so, no sign of the intruders was discovered for almost a year. Then, on 987 M41, a patrol ship in the Maran subsector narrowly avoided a collision with a spacecraft at the Sift jump point. The patrol ship was entering the Sift system as the unidentified craft was leaving. Alerted by the close encounter, the patrol crew scanned the entire jump area and discovered 2 long cylindrical objects within the intruder's projected flight path. These were hauled aboard and proved to be standard space coffins without identification markings. The coffins were shipped back to Earth and opened by the Adeptus Mechanicus. The coffins themselves were identified as belonging to the Absolute, one of the spacecraft from the vanished Firehawk fleet. Inside were the armoured remains of 2 Space Marines. The unconventional armour colours and unofficial insignia puzzled the investigators, but serial numbers tallied with equipment made or issued to the Firehawks. The armoured suits were expected to house members of the lost chapter and were carefully broken open. The bodies within were human, but further identification proved impossible due to their advanced state of decay. The full truth would not emerge until almost a year later, when a besieged Imperial research station received unexpected help. The garrison had been attacked suddenly by Orc pirates. After 3 hours of fighting, the situation looked hopeless. Then, without warning, the Orcs found themselves attacked in the rear. The ferocity of the fighting appalled even the station's defenders. Within half an hour, several hundred orcs had fallen to the mysterious power-armoured figures. Then, as suddenly as they had appeared, the warriors vanished. This time, they left behind a banner, the gnarled chapter flag of the Firehawks, and inscribed upon it was the motto, In dedicato imperatum ultra articulo mortis. For the Emperor beyond the point of death. As well as the banner, there was a recorder and sundry other sealed items. These were immediately shipped to Earth. From the data contained in the recorder, the Administratum was able to determine exactly what had happened to the lost chapter. Following their warp jump, the entire fleet had been caught within a warp storm of terrific intensity. Stunned by the power of the warp, the chapter was forced to endure the attacks of powerful warp entities. Ship after ship was destroyed and absorbed into the fabric of the warp. Soon, only one craft remained. By a daring warp exit maneuver, the craft burst out of warp space, emerging far in the galactic east, thousands of light years off course and beyond even the psychic light of the Emperor. The original survivors numbered 200 brethren. All gene seed had been lost, all initiates killed, and most of the chapter's masters were gone. None of the ordinary human staff had survived at all. To make matters worse, the brethren had changed. This change became more obvious over the next few months. Skins began to blacken and blister. Flesh began to fester and putrefy. Slowly, they began to die. Within days of the transition into normal space, it became obvious that the chapter had been exposed to some form of dangerous mutation or disease. It took many years to navigate a way back into the Imperium, during which time almost half the brethren succumbed to the malady. Those who remained were no longer sane. Pain and despair had driven even their hardened minds beyond the point of rationality. Doomed to agonizing deaths, they gradually became obsessed with their fate. Now they only wanted to die, but they were still Marines, still loyal to the Emperor, and still loyal to humanity. They would not die without purpose. So began the unstoppable war of the Legion of the Damned. The Marines elected to remove all insignia from their armour. Instead, their armour would be black, decorated by each brother with whatever emblems of death he chose. Most brothers employed a similar theme: skeletons, bones, fire, and skulls. All ranks and companies were abolished. Most of the chapter's officers were already dead, and the remaining warriors were too few to make up a fully functional chapter hierarchy. All brothers were to be equal before death, levelled by the certainty of their assured extinction. The warriors decided to expend their lives attacking enemies wherever they could be found. The disease had robbed them of their sanity, but not their loyalty. And their condition gave them powers that endow them with incredible fighting abilities. The Legion of the Damned is not a part of any Imperial force, and employs an unusual modus operandi. Apart from driving them insane, the contagion heightens their psychic awareness considerably. One result of this is the way in which the Legion selects and attacks its targets. These matters are left entirely to the process of divination provided by the mystic Tarot of the Emperor. This tarot is supposedly bound within the psychic will of the Emperor and is used throughout the Imperium as both a pastime and a form of divination. It is an undeniable fact that attacks always seem to fall in the right place at the right time. The Legion of the Damned certainly believe themselves to be directed by the Emperor, and who is to argue? The affliction of the Legion of the Damned. As their fatal malady takes a firm hold, the victim begins to degenerate and putrefy. However, even as his body decays, he grows in supernatural vigour. Even though the Marine's limbs become rotten and twisted, he gains strength far beyond that of a normal Marine. These powers heighten as the disease rages through the victim's body. At the moment of death, each brother reaches a peak in power, at which point the raw energies of the warp transmute the death throes of the doomed Marine into a berserk orgy of destruction. Make no mistake, the Legion of the Damned may be few in numbers, but their powers are awesome. Just as their bodies are changed by contact with the warp, so their minds are hardened too. Battle Brothers are completely immune to all forms of psychic attack or interference. They cannot be affected by the special psychic attacks of warp creatures, although they may be harmed psychically by physical attacks that some creatures may have. Astral spectres and other immaterial creatures cannot harm them in any way. The Marines, sadly, are rapidly approaching the moment when they will be claimed by the warp contagion. No one knows when this will be. The rigours of combat tend to initiate the final stages of the disease, warping more and more raw energy into the Marine during his final moments. This is known as the Legion of the Damned Berserk Death Spasm.
So there you have it. It seems pretty clear to me that originally these guys were definitely the Firehawks, although it is possible for it to be retconned, I suppose, at some point in the future. You might say that other dead chapters added to their ranks as time went on. I really like the old original models for these, as they weren't actually Legion of the Damned bespoke minis. They all look to be old conversions and the like, and the artwork is absolutely sublime. Anyway, what do you think of the old Legion of the Damned? Did you ever play them in games? Did you ever paint them? Was it hard to paint those fire effects? Do you think they're invested? Do you think they're infested with Nurgle's rot? Do you still play them in 9th edition? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoy the content on this channel, then please consider joining my Patreon, the link to which is in the description below. And if you join, I will love you forever. If you want to see some more Oldhammer, then check out the playlist up here somewhere. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. That means you, Paul. As always, thank you very much for watching, and always remember to drill your barrels.